Hey guys, Lord here, back and with another action figure review. Today I'll be taking a look at the DC Multiverse Collector Edition, Platinum Edition, OJism. That's arguably a worse OJism than when it comes to exclusives. But today we're going to be taking a look at the DC Classic main man himself, Lobo, brought to us by the fine folks over at McFarlane Toys, and the Walmart that's literally a hop, skip, and a jump away from my house. I'm very surprised they had the new Supergirl display there. Not only did I get this Platinum Lobo, I also got the Platinum Supergirl, which if I'm not mistaken is Crisis on Infinite Earths, right? That said, I also got the Platinum Saturn Girl from Legion of Superheroes, and Aztec, who I know from Justice League Unlimited, but he was part of the 90s JLA run. Either way, I got a few things from that display. We're going to be taking a look at them here on the channel this week, so hope you're ready for all of that. With that being said, why don't we cut right to the chase and get to the meat and taters of this review and take a look-see at all the main man has to offer in terms of accessories, starting off with the Fraggin' Collectible Trading Card. Picture of Lobo on the front there. The bio on the back. It would be kind of funny if they did some Deadpool tomfoolery and had Lobo write his own bio saying, "I'm awesome and you all suck," or something. We also get the hockey puck display stand we're used to seeing with all McFarlane Toys releases. He's a big guy. He doesn't need such things. I just set that off to the side. That said, we do get his what's been branded as his Maui hook, because after he's done beating your arse, he'll say, "You're welcome," I guess. But it's got a real metal chain. Not the longest chain. I would have liked that to have been twice as long, maybe. I don't know if you can maybe... It looks like the chain on the end here could open up if you had some pliers or something, but it would have been nice if that chain was twice as long. Just seems a little short. It can wrap around his wrist, but not a lot. The hook itself looks good. I dig it. That said, we get this big old honkin' knife here. The curved blade. Some serrated edges there. It's got a skull down here. It's been painted well. Very 90s Spawn-esque. We get this big old honkin' blaster, which you can hold right here, this handle piece. Even though this almost looks like he could hold it there too. But it's a big chunky gun. Something Lobo would most likely use, if need be. And last but not least, we get a space dolphin, because they're the only things in the galaxy that we know of that brings forth Lobo's affection and emotions of love, which is very strange that he is fond of these things, but at any rate, it's a little dolphin. It'll probably be chilling on the Space Hog when this review is done. Speaking of the Space Hog, if I move this Lobo over, we can bring in said Lobo from the Space Hog with his Maui hook. So I'll give you a quick comparison. There's that hook. Here is the new one. Here is the new one. I grabbed the knife by accident. And I like the sculpt of the new one a little more, to be honest. I think the shape of it's better. It's a little more geometric, but it's fine. But here's this Lobo. Here's the new blue one. The skin tones are pretty close. If you wanted to swap heads, you could, and get the one with the bike, the nicer shading on the hair. Other than that, though, it's the same figure from head to toe, aside for the knee pads. The motorcycle / Space Hog one has skulls, whereas this guy just has regular plain Jane knee pads with stars on them. So if you prefer this new one, then you can always throw him on the bike. But I like the one with the bike. His joints are also a little looser, so I tend to just leave him on the bike. But looking at Lobo here, one of the better, older McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse figures, I will say. Despite the fact that I would like a Lobo with sleeves at some point. At least one sleeve. I think if you ask me, they should have given this guy the head with the hair that hangs down in the standard edition. Could have had the crazy Super Saiyan hair. Because while I do understand they're trying to keep certain things exclusive to the Space Hog set, I don't care about that. I just want options and not to have to dig stuff up sometimes, because my alternate head from the Space Hog is buried in storage somewhere. Great. But at any rate, as far as this guy's articulation goes, his head is on a double ball peg. Can rotate around, go up and down, can tilt. Shoulders will pop up, back down. They will rotate forward and back. He's got that beautiful butterfly. Plenty of range there. Bicep swivel, double elbow. I will say this guy feels much tighter than the one from the bike I just brought out, so that's a plus. He's got the ball hinge wrist that will rotate, hinge, and they can rotate at the hand, but it is pretty tight. Well, not on this side, I guess. But the other side, I did have to finagle it quite a bit to get it to move. Popping his arms out. His diaphragm can crunch this far forward with the waist, this far back with the waist. You can also rotate up there. Nice solid joints there and there. That's fine. He can tilt a little bit. Of course, when you break him in, he moves a little more. He's got the nice little skull belt buckle there. Hips will kick out, back down. They'll kick forward and back. This leg will rotate and kind of shift up and down on that peg a little bit. I used a little bit of heat to kind of warp it back into place. This leg kind of does the same thing. His thigh cuts are not the tightest things, alright? But they're not terrible, so whatever. He does have double knee. Those work fine. The knee pads do not get in the way. And his shin guards are actually glued on all the way. My one from the bike, he's got a little bit of glue missing on one shin guard. And then my original Lobo, he's missing quite a bit of glue on one of the shin guards. So much so I think one of them had to be glued back on entirely. That said, he's got the ball hinge ankles that will hinge back and forth. They will rotate and pivot a little bit. And then he does have the toe joints. So, you know, really solid figure. One thing I didn't compare was the Bite Me Fanboy on the back. Here's the Space Hog version. But very, very cool figure. I like him a lot. I always liked this figure. It's just some of the QC issues on the older ones kind of soured my opinion on him at first, but after getting around to fixing some of those issues, yeah, this is definitely one. Even if you have like a lot of the old Mattel stuff, this would be a good pickup, because the Mattel Lobo is about the same size, if I'm not mistaken, and is really hard to get because he was a Comic-Con exclusive. That's one thing McFarlane Toys never did, was give us a Lobo with the 3D glasses. That would have been kind of neat. But at any rate, I think at this point we've gotten plenty of Lobos. They're all using the same buck. These new collector edition ones, however, do come with more accessories. And I will have a review of the standard edition going up at a later day. I just don't have him in hand yet. But I will tell you, I did see Brad DC Universe Geek do a pop and swap with the upper half of the standard edition and the lower half of this guy, and it reminds me of Superman the Animated Series quite a bit, and it just makes me wish he had a sleeve. I think it was on this side. He had like one sleeve. Good old Brad Garrett. Can never do you wrong, can he? So with that being said, think it is time now we move right along and take a look at some size comparisons. First up, here is the main man alongside the other Platinum Collector Edition figure I got from the Supergirl display. We have the Crisis on Infinite Earths Platinum Edition Supergirl. And as you can tell, Lobo is an absolute monster next to her. That said, we also have the Silver Age Superman from the Digital Fidgetal, whatever you want to call it all, collection, because, not for nothing, I've never compared a Superman to this Lobo body before, so I figured, what the heck, might as well bring out the best one, arguably. I like 90s Superman, but that one's got a crap cape. This one is a really nice cape. In fact, him and Supergirl are almost wearing the same cape. It's just Superman's is adult size and Supergirl's is kid size. And not for nothing, I think these two probably go together the best, because they're both like 80s style suits. But at any rate, Lobo is bigger than both of them. That just makes sense. Getting these two out of the way. I guess Superman's cape is a little bit thicker of a material. But we're not talking about capes, we're talking about Lobo. Bringing in two regulars. We got the Mythic Legion's Brother Mandibilith and the infamous 11th Spawn, who is about eye to eye with the main man here, which makes sense. Spawn's a bigger dude, Lobo's a bigger dude, Brother Mandibulus is a skeleton, like yours truly. So, with that being said, it's time now that we wrap things up with some final thoughts. Overall, and while I'm a stand by my previous statement in saying that either the Platinum Edition here or the Standard Edition of good old Lobo should have had the alternate head with the hair hanging down, either from the original Lobo release or the one with the bike. I still think that if you did not get the Lobo with the bike, aka the Space Hog, then one of these Collector Edition Lobos would do quite nicely, because he's got the gun, he's got the hook with the real metal chain, and while the chain isn't necessarily long enough, it's good enough. And again, it's a metal chain, which we don't see a lot, so that's nice. On top of the fact that you do get the knife and you do get the dolphin. Now, I think it would have also been interesting if instead of the dolphin, one of these Lobos came with his dog named Dog, D-A-W-G, but I get that they're trying to make certain parts of the Space Hog set exclusive to that set, but I'm all about spreading the wealth and sharing with others. I don't care about exclusivity, I don't care about value, I don't care about a lot of that stuff. I just want people to be able to get their hands on certain things. And when they can't do that, well, Facebook is flooded with a bunch of complaints, isn't it? So, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. And until next time, I'll catch you guys later.